New Day Cleveland. I'm Natalie Herbick, and David Moss is going to be joining me today as we celebrate. You might ask, what are they celebrating? Well, we are talking about the celebration of the Centennial of the Cleveland Metroparks. Can you believe it is 100 years old? So over the next hour, we are going to show you many of the reasons why we are so blessed to have the Metroparks here. And David's going to kick things off at the Rocky River Reservation.
Well, Brian Zimmerman, CEO of Cleveland Metroparks. This is a great time to be in charge of this grand park because we're celebrating a big birthday.
Well, it's hard to believe the 100-year celebration is here. What William STINCHCOMB put on pen and paper well over 100 years ago has really grown from that original 3 acres in the Hogsback area of Rocky River to now what is more than 23,200 acres, serving an amazing 48 diverse communities with land in all 5 counties surrounding Cuyahoga.
So how did the park get ready, Metroparks get ready for this big celebration?
You know, there's no blueprint to celebrating 100 years for the park system. We're very proud to be following in the National Parks footsteps a little bit. They had their 100-year celebration last year. When I really think of how or what 100 years means, it's really about celebrating with the community. And there'll be so many different events really at the local level. We were talking about Brecksville and where your memories were created. And I think that's how we really want to bring the park feel with all of our wonderful visitors.
Hey, you talk about 100 years. I was born in 1949, so I'm not quite there. But those are great memories for me, like going through the Brecksville Reservation or over near Chagrin Falls and the Emerald Necklace and trying to understand what that meant and what it's become.
Well, it really has become something that's really what I call this community asset. And we hear time and time again how you can't find this anywhere else and how celebrated we really are. And I think that's how we really are positioned the 100 years is to really bring it back home and really focus on your park, your story. And we've done an amazing job collecting the history of the park from the founder William STINCHCOMB all the way through now what is we're celebrating in 2017 this wonderful 100 years of stewardship.
Of course, when you think about parks, you always think about conservation, but you go beyond that.
Well, not only conservation, I mean, you think of the original 3 acres growing upon that from the original 9 reservations all the way to 23,000 acres, but the pillar of education and recreation have really become a mainstay in what we do and what we provide. Here at the Rocky River Reservation, I'm really reminded of all the kids that are running around, and that's what we're here for. We're educating that next level of Aldo Leopold or whoever may be inspired by nature. We happen to be staring at some snakes in the background. We've got some wonderful Fort Hill stairs behind us. And we also have this amazing component of recreation, very passive in nature, but 8 world-class golf courses. And we're really blessed with a lot of opportunities to connect with nature.
We mentioned conservation, and you have education, and you have recreation, and just taking a look at the Fort Hill steps, that is some kind of recreation there. You get to the top there, you've been recreated.
You have definitely increased your heart rate. I think that the partnership that we have, and really the theme over the last 100 years is how we've partnered with different agencies. That has to be a great partnership with Metro Health. If you go up and down 4 times, you've covered a mile, and your heart rate will definitely go up.
If you're still there.
If you're still there. But there are so many great stories. When we reopened the stairs here this past fall, Earl, who's well into his 80s, goes up and down 10 times. He has 10 pennies. They start in one pocket and they end up in the other pocket, so he can keep track of how many times he's gone up and down 3 times a week.
Well, Brian, you mentioned many stories, so why don't we take time here to rewind a little bit. We'll go back 100 years and learn the deep story.
What's important to think about is that by the 1890s, people were already realizing that this industrial city needed some green space, and they created sort of a ring of city parks, many of which are now part of our park system. So Garfield, Brookside, Edgewater, Gordon Park, and Washington, Rockefeller Park, and they kind of made a ring around the city as opposed to Central Park in New York where the city surrounds the park. Our parks kind of surrounded the city. So young city parks engineer, William STINCHCOMB, who was a self-educated engineer, dropped out of school in 10th grade, became a surveyor for the city, and then took correspondence courses, college courses, to become an engineer, a mechanical and a civil engineer. And he was working in the city department. Tom Johnson, who was our mayor then, very progressive mayor, took all the "don't walk on the grass" signs off the parks, said, no, parks are for people to play in, and asked STINCHCOMB to be in charge as city parks engineer. And supposedly STINCHCOMB said to him, I don't know anything about parks. And Johnson said, well, good, then you'll learn. So he did. Actually, STINCHCOMB and several other local movers and shakers in the Cleveland business community went to Columbus and lobbied to create metropolitan park districts in Ohio. So we were the first one. That's kind of how we became an entity. And first land was bought in 1919, 3.74 acres. And by 1929, we had over 9,000 acres scattered on 9 different reservations around the city. Those ring of parks idea that he had was to take on mostly the river and creek valleys, land that was not good for industry. And then, you know, in the past 30, 40 years, we started taking on the city parks that the city was struggling to maintain. So some of those city parks that STINCHCOMB worked on when he was a young man are now part of Cleveland Metropolitan Park District, or Cleveland Metroparks. Somebody in 1975 said, enough with the Cleveland Metropolitan Park District, it's too hard to write and say, and we became Cleveland Metroparks.
I'm the granddaughter of William Albert STINCHCOMB. I'm extremely proud and actually grateful. I mean, he's a relation, but I've benefited, we've all benefited from the vision that he and the men who worked with him had for this park system.
Well, first of all, our book, The 100-Year Trail, Centennial Celebration, is a great overview of to learn about the parks. And then I would suggest to people is try to visit as many parks as you can. And when you see there's a program at Lookabout Lodge, come to the lodge and then ask questions. Ask our naturalists, who are not only knowledgeable about nature, we have several that are historical interpreters as well, so they do cultural history. And I would say all of our naturalists have just been really on board with learning the history of the park. We take it for granted. This was a new idea. The newspapers kept calling it the new park idea. The new park. This is what the new park system will look like. One of the new things that was new was it wasn't going to be manicured and set out as a place to walk with your parasol down, you know, a gravel lane. And it was meant for people to get out and explore nature, and it was meant to conserve nature. It was the first time that we said, well, I shouldn't say the first. The national parks were beginning. It kind of took the national parks idea of conservation of land for its own sake, to preserve it for the animal and plant life and for people to enjoy, not just for commodities that get torn up out of the ground or chopped down and sold for money.
Just from reading the diaries, just from seeing the photographs that he'd taken, I know he'd be so proud. And in reading the diaries and talking to Judy McKeegan, we know he was a cyclist, we know he was a photographer. Those are all things that are such a big part of the park system. And it's neat to see that blossom from his vision.
We've shown you a lot about the history of the Cleveland Metro Parks. Obviously, 100 years is a long time. Something else that's been around for almost that long is the Rangers unit here that you have. And Captain Sean Flanigan, you are with which particular unit?
I'm with the Cleveland Metro Parks down at our headquarters in our administrative role. I'm a captain over to field operations.
So really, you see all of the different specialized units that they have here. And we have behind us the mounted unit.
Yes, our prestigious mounted unit.
Well acclaimed, for sure.
Yes, yes.
So there are so many different facets to this, them being one of them. They've been around for almost the same amount of time.
1921 they started with the mounted unit.
And these guys are out in the field constantly, and main purpose, protecting people and keeping them safe.
Protecting people, keeping everybody safe, and first and foremost, what a great PR tool. They're down there keeping the citizens and the park patrons safe, and yet they're also doing a job of public relations and kids coming up and wanting to pet them, and it's just a great tool for us.
Another really cool aspect, I think, is the canine unit.
Yes, near and dear to my heart.
So there are 5 different canines that you have.
We have 5 working right now. I started the unit in 2002 with radar, and it's blossomed since then. And currently, to date, right now, we have 5 working the road. They're all dual-purpose canines, which different tasks that they do, and we also started this year a new explosive detection canine.
So these canines can sit and they can find explosives.
Yep.
They can search out drugs.
Yep.
They can help in hostage situations.
Hostage situations, yes. They can also do article searches. Recently, a few nights ago, we tracked an elderly woman who walked away from a senior citizen home, and we found her before it was too late. So they're a great valuable tool for us for law enforcement, and a wonderful PR tool, public relations wise, for the counties and the cities that we serve.
You compare it almost to a city police department. I mean, you cover all over Northeast Ohio though, instead of a small space.
Right. Exactly, and that's what's wonderful. People always tell me, what's the difference between a police department, a ranger department, and Metroparks? Basically, our department, the Rangers, are just like a big city picked up in a wonderful setting such as the park. We do the same kind of calls, and we provide what I think is a better, superior service, because we even just recently got accredited by CALEA. We started with a horseback rider and a police officer who would walk the beat, to all these now specialized units in patrolling the Edgewater and the lakefront with our Marines, so we're on land and shore.
And when you see these guys around, not only the animals, but the officers, I must say everyone is so incredibly friendly.
Yes. Well,
until you have to be otherwise.
Until you
right?
have to be on the other side of it.
Is
that a bad guy? All right. Sir, do not help her.
Nope.
Do not help her.
Nope.
Do not help her.
Nope.
You're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in trouble.
No, I'm not.
Can I ask you one question?
Sure.
How did I do as a hostage?
You seemed a little bit nervous, but I guess I would be too, and I think you did perfect.
I'm going to tell you this right now. What I didn't know when I was acting as a hostage, that was the first time that particular canine had ever handled a hostage situation.
Yes.
They waited until after the fact to tell me.
Yes, and we all took a sigh of relief whenever he went after the bad guy.
Fingers crossed it worked out, and it did.
Yes.
It is such a great organization, that is for sure. And when you see these guys, make sure you say hello, because they really are wonderful people, and we're very thankful to have them in our community.
Well,
here.
thank you.
All right, more from the 100 years of celebration of the Cleveland Metroparks when we come back.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland. We're doing a very special show here, the 100th birthday of Metroparks, and I'm here with the Director of Natural Resources, Terry Robinson.
That's correct.
I did a pretty good job with
Very
that.
good.
And I tell you, I'd like to get it right, just like you get it right here at the park. I mean, we're talking about some fantastic project going on here at Acacia, aren't we?
Yeah, it's an amazing project. We were fortunate to be successful in getting $2 million in different grants to work on restoration of Euclid Creek here at Acacia Reservation, and try to slow down the stormwater that comes through this area and make some better habitat for the things that live in the stream and near the stream.
So when I was a kid, I used to go to the Brexville Reservation. I visit the Rocky River Reservation, of course, out near Chagrin Falls, that area. So I live in Beechwood, and we had nothing, but now we have something.
Now you have Acacia. It's 100 and almost 50 acres, that is open to the public now. It was a closed golf course, a private golf course before. The cart paths are still here. We're using those as our all-purpose trail that we have all throughout.
Great places to walk around.
Oh my gosh, when it first opened, it still is. It's like the stroller capital of the world. There's so many people out here with their strollers in the spring pushing babies around, and people really use it. And just the fact that we've let things go, it's created some great habitat out here. There's more bird species out here than there were beforehand. We've been monitoring this area, our Natural Resources Division, and looking at the changes. We've been actively planting trees, the big project on Euclid Creek. We've created some wetlands out here. It's amazing to watch this change and re-green for the golf course.
I remember as a golf course, you know, it seems like the whole management of water is changing here now that you've been here.
It's huge. Golf courses are water. They need water to keep the grass green, but they want to get the water off from a rain as fast as they can. So almost all golf courses have tile drainage systems under them, just like in some farm fields. So one of the biggest things we're doing out here is disrupting all that tile and returning the hydrology, the water movement, back to what it was before it was a golf course. So we're breaking these tiles, and what that will do for the public is to slow water down from getting into Euclid Creek, slow flooding downstream from here. So it's something people won't see, like they'll see a bird or a coyote or something like that, but it's something that's really important to this region.
Yeah, that's what really amazes me. We're walking around not understanding how it's been returned to nature.
Yeah.
I mean, you're rebuilding a river in a way and remounting a wetland.
Absolutely. I mean, the Cleveland back at the time the Park District was being formed was an incredibly fast-growing area. A lot of people moving to the region, a lot of industry, and sprawl was going on. And William STINCHCOMB had this vision of we need to protect some land in this region and keep it for the people so they have a place to go to relax and recreate. And so the Park District was formed. And it's not unlike what's going on now with the rebirth of Cleveland and the really great things that are happening here.
It's terrific.
And so our parks are still getting a lot of use, more use than ever. And it's really cool to work here. I'm not from the region. I moved here 10 years ago. This is home to me. This feels so good to be here. We really love this area.
That's beautiful. Well, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Having a great time. And I think Natalie has some more for us.
Another area that has undergone a huge transformation is a former landfill in Parma. Take a look.
Welcome to West Creek Reservation. This is a 326-acre reservation in the heart of Parma. This is like Parma's big backyard. For 25 years, the city of Parma used this as a municipal landfill. It has shaped the land use and what grows on top of the landfill, the water quality in some sections of West Creek, and the communities of birds and insects and other organisms that we find here in West Creek Reservation. But part of the story is too that we don't have to leave it as an old landfill, that through an engaged civic response, and also if the people in the community deem it so, you can invest some time, energy, and money into enhancing and restoring some of the natural features of the landscape. Directly behind me is our working wetland, where there's a nice boardwalk that meanders through it. This is created habitat for lots of different macroinvertebrates, bugs that you can see with your naked eyes, dragonfly larvae. This is great habitat for toads, frogs, amphibians of all sorts. It seems like every day we're welcoming new folks into the center, and you're greeted by friendly folks up at our front desk. There is a waterfall feature with some images of West Creek, and then you get to see this tremendous watershed of West Creek. So up in real topography, that's the way the land is shaped, you can play around and hear a narration, play with the different overlays, and discover the ways that humans interact with this dynamic waterway. So rain or shine, as long as you give us some heads up too, we can set up our stream table. This is a dynamic model that really helps folks to understand the way that rivers are alive, that they move, and that humans have a great impact on stream function. What's moving in this table are bits and pieces of recycled plastic. They're different sizes to mirror the way that sand and gravel and clay move around in natural streams outside. So we can test our scientific hypotheses here on this table. And we make a lot of predictions about erosion too. Say we've got some neighbors here and they like to go visit each other. We'll add a culvert and we'll create a land bridge from one neighboring area to another. There we go, nice bridge here. And then we might hop in our cars and drive across from one area to even while I was away. Our culvert has really redirected the flow of water right to where this other house was. It's created a fast-moving stream that eroded and blew through the area that was supporting this house. We've got some undercutting and some groundwater that's really moving the sediment right by our culvert and bridge. This stream table is a tremendous way to visualize the way that stream dynamics works, the way that a river or a stream operates like a living, breathing organism. So we have professionals use this table as well. We love classrooms around it, and we host professional workshops here too, where professionals who spend their days restoring and improving stream habitats, they can demonstrate their processes and really test their ideas on this table too. I would say that you should come rain or shine, and please attend the Watershed Stewardship Center. When it's raining, this is a great time to see our stormwater management features in action.
The Watershed Stewardship Center is located in the West Creek Reservation in Parma. After the break, it's time to learn something new.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland and our hour-long celebration of Cleveland Metro Parks. Now, parks are great for recreation, right? But they're also a great place to learn.
Cleveland Metro Parks Education Department has been here for so long and doing this work for so long, connecting people to the natural world. I mean, that's why it's so important. Since 1931, in some way or some form or another, we've been trying to connect the people of Cleveland to nature. And it's been really, really important, and people have seen us as part of their lives. You know, they through generations, they're bringing kids to programs, and the grandkids come, and it becomes part of a family's history. You know, Lookabout Lodge was actually started by a private club. It was a science club, a group of science teachers, mostly women, and they spent their summers learning about nature. It was just something that they did. They had a passion for flowers and geology and insects, and so they had a club, and they decided they needed a clubhouse. So they raised money, and they got the WPA on board, which is a Depression-era program, and they had this building built out of all chestnut, which is a basically extinct tree now, and it is this hand-hewn clubhouse that is lovely, and now controlled by Cleveland Metro Parks on Cleveland Metro Parks property. And we still do programming here today. It's a place where people can come and again learn more about nature. And because it's such a contemplative place, we do longer term programming. A.B. Williams was our first naturalist, and you know, it was his inspiration that said, we need maybe a place where people can come and learn about these things. We need to have a more formal, instead of a grandfather teaching a grandchild, we need to have a place where people can come and learn about this stuff, where professionals get to tell those stories and get to relate to people in a way that they help them understand this natural world. So he's our hero. He's our first park naturalist. He didn't start until he was 57, which is an inspiration to all of us. And so we really revere A.B. Williams in a great way. We get an opportunity to share with people this thing that sustains us, you know, that suddenly you might help somebody identify that tree in their backyard or that bird song they've been hearing all their life, and suddenly they have a relationship to it. You know, you've given that tree a name. It's a maple. And then suddenly, once you name something, the human side of us makes us fall in love with it. And so we've helped people make connections to this thing that is surrounding us, and suddenly our lives are deeper. You know, we're just better for it. So I think it feels like a privilege that these naturalists, that we get to do this work, that we get to help people connect to this thing that sustains us.
We know the where. We are here at the North Chagrin Nature Center, and we know who we are. I'm Natalie, of course. Then we have Jeff here, who is a naturalist at the Nature Center. But I bet you don't know who is in here. Do you think I've given them enough hints yet?
I think you have.
Okay. So there is a lot to see and a lot to learn about, including owls. And that is a big aspect of what goes on here at the Nature Center.
That's exactly right.
We're seeing owls in their natural habitats.
So at North Chagrin, we do a lot of owl programming. So we have some animal ambassadors, some live owls, and the eastern screech owl that I'm going to bring out is a key team member of that group.
So this is our little guy. Does he have a name?
We don't name them. We don't want people to think of them as pets.
Okay.
So we specifically don't name them for that reason.
Interesting. But it is a screech owl.
Yes, eastern screech
owl. And we're going to pull him out. Go ahead. I'll let you get him out for the remainder of our interview here. I'm very excited. I hear he's very cute. He's so teeny. Hello, little guy.
Yeah.
Wow. So now he is one of how many owls that you have here that people can really see again in their habitat and learn more about?
Well, we have several live owls. We have one eastern screech, one great horned owl, and two barred owls. And not all of them are on exhibit right now. So that's going to be, as we get our new aviary built, finished, they are all going to be visible so people can see them during the week.
So the awesome thing about this is that you've had at least one of these owls here since the 80s, was it?
Yeah, 1988.
Wow, okay, so but now we're seeing them outside, and that is a really awesome thing for not only the birds, but for the people who come to visit.
Exactly. So these birds have been kept indoors and basically only visible to the public on weekends. So now, once the aviaries are finished, we're going to be able to get them outdoors. It's better for the birds because they'll get the sun, they'll get the rain, all the seasonal changes, much better for them, and also the public will be able to see them during the week, which right now they can only see them on weekends when this building is open.
I think one of the amazing things about this too is that donors have made this aviary possible.
Yes, and that's the amazing thing about this is all of this is possible because of generous donors to Cleveland Metroparks.
It is so neat. And on top of the owls, you have quite a variety of other live animals, reptiles, even for people to come and see here.
Yep. Yeah, we have native fish, we have reptiles and amphibians, a rat snake, box turtles, all kinds of cool things that we find here in northeastern Ohio.
Now, what's his story specifically?
This bird we got from a rehabilitator. So this was one of the birds that could not make it in the wild. So he's got a wing injury, so he can't fly well enough to be released. And that's how we get all of our birds. All of these birds have injuries that make it impossible for them to survive in the wild. So we use them for education so people can appreciate them up close and experience an owl, you know, just a few feet away, which is pretty awesome.
And when in looking at some of these, the one that you have here, the great horned owl, he is just stunning.
Yeah.
Beautiful bird.
Beautiful, large bird. They are the largest common owl that we have in northeastern Ohio, and we do have them in this park.
He's eyeing me up, I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's always watching.
He's like, lady, are you done with your interview yet?
Yeah, he's always keeping an eye on everybody. So that's the cool thing about owls is they're so aware of their surroundings and they really look at you, you know, with two eyes straight looking at you, which is kind of unique and cool with birds.
They're so beautiful, and just what another way to come and explore the Metroparks. Nature at its finest. You're in the thick of things here at the North Chagrin Nature Center. Yeah. Jeff, thanks so much for having me here.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Screech Owl, for letting me be a part of this. We're celebrating more when we return. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to New Day Cleveland, and it's time to hit the links. And did you know that golf has been part of the Metroparks all the way back to the beginning?
Welcome to Sleepy Hollow. You're at one of 8 Cleveland Metroparks golf courses, and it's one of 2 championship golf courses that Cleveland Metroparks has. The other one would be Manakiki. Cleveland Metroparks got into the golf business back in the early 20s, about 1924-25, with the construction of Little Met Golf Course. Little Met Golf Course was built as a temporary golf course as they were building Big Met Golf Course. And once they constructed and finished Big Met Golf Course, the people and the citizens on the west side loved the idea of the game of golf, that they petitioned the commissioners to keep it open. So basically, Little Met is the first golf course of Cleveland Metroparks group of 8 golf courses that we have. And then from there on, you know, you have Sleepy Hollow, which is an older golf course, was built back in 23, but we didn't acquire it till later on. And the same thing with Manakiki, we didn't acquire it till later on. It was a private country club at one time to about the 60s, and then the Metroparks took it over and opened it back up to the public. And ever since then, the citizens of Northeast Ohio have had the chance to play these 2 championship golf courses along with the other courses of Cleveland Metroparks. This has some tremendous par 3 holes on it. The greens are quite fast here and they're sloped pretty severely. So the word is out on the street that don't be above the pin when you're putting out, because if you're above the pin, you're gonna end up 4-putting this greens because the way it is. And then same thing with Manakiki. Manakiki was designed by Donald Ross, and Donald Ross is an American architect who is world renowned for his design. And he was on the property at one time. Donald Ross was so busy building golf courses back in the 20s that he had his foremans building them, and he was just kind of overseeing it. But we have records here at Cleveland Metroparks that Donald Ross was on the property at Manakiki and has made the statement that it's a unique golf course, as every hole is different. Mastic Woods on the west side, we have foot golf, and we introduced that probably about 4 years ago. And it's a hybrid of golf and soccer combined together. And you play it like the game of golf. Of course, you use a soccer ball, so the hole is much bigger than the hole on the greens here. So it's a 22-inch hole that you kick the ball into. And that's become very popular with a lot of the young kids, the soccer players and things like that. Even some of the universities around town are bringing their teams out and playing it as a team building sport. You know, we have several driving ranges of course, right here at Sleepy Hollow, we have a driving range here. And we do run some different programs. We run Moonlight Golf, which is played in the evening with a golf ball that's illuminated. And so that seems to be real fun for families and people to get together, and usually try to do it on a full moon, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So, but we do that at Shawnee Hills and Mastic Woods, so that's very popular also. The golf courses are basically a part of the fabric of Cleveland Metroparks. They were here in the very beginning, and we're still here today, and we have some of the best golf courses in Northeast Ohio.
All of the Metropark golf courses are available for charity, corporate, and team building outings. Natalie?
Recreation on the water is also a big part of the Cleveland Metroparks mission. So what exactly does the park offer? Let's head to Hinkley Lake.
Cleveland Metroparks outdoor recreation focuses on human-powered, natural resource-based recreation such as backpacking, rock climbing, cycling, cross-country skiing and snowshoeing, and of course, kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding like we're doing out here at Hinkley Lake today. One of the best parts about Hinkley Lake is that it's a flat water paddling venue. It works for people of all ages and abilities, from youth to adults, whether they're coming out and renting a boat from the boathouse or they're taking one of our classes. We also offer program progressions. So if you've never tried an activity before, you can try it in a low commitment way. And if you like it, there's skills classes. So for kayaking, like we're doing today, there's a kayaking 1 and a 2 class that will help you progress. When you're out here any time of year, whether you're paddling, we see the blue heron while we're paddling, beaver dams and lodges out here. So lots of cool ways to connect with nature. And again, it's for any type of paddler. If you're getting on a stand-up paddleboard for the first time with wobbly legs, or you're a confident paddler getting ready for one of our races. Pontoons are available for rent here at the boathouse. You just have to come on a first come, first served basis to be able to rent a pontoon boat. It is no wake, so we ask that you go slow out there because we do have a lot of paddlers out there.
We supply everything. You have to have no background. We will give you some basic tips, show you how to run a pontoon boat or to paddle a kayak, and then you get a chance to go out and enjoy it and kind of experience for yourself.
Fishing is a great thing to be able to do out here in addition to kayaking and stand-up paddleboarding at Hinkley. You can bring your own gear, there's plenty of docks that you can go out, and it's a year-round activity that people can enjoy no matter what the weather. It's quiet, there's no highways, there's no crazy sounds like that. It's just a relaxing atmosphere that you can truly enjoy yourself and have a good time.
After the break, fun for the entire family. Welcome back. We are continuing to celebrate 100 years here at the Metroparks, and one of the best additions, I think, is the zoo, which, Chris, they added in the 70s, was it?
Yeah, the zoo's been around since 1882.
So it's been here more than 100 years.
It is, yeah, we're 135 years, but the Metroparks took over the zoo in 1975, and that's really when the zoo really took off.
Now, when you look at places like, say, here, we're at the animal hospital, these kind of additions to the zoo are things you wouldn't have seen 100 years ago, even 50 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, in 1955, the zoo was a lot of iron bars and concrete and things like that, and really what you're seeing now is the zoo's investing in the animal care piece. So the Sarah Allison Steffi Center for Zoological Medicine, the animal hospital for short, that's really investing in the science and the care of the animals. And then we have great exhibits that we've been building to really provide great care for the animals over the past several years as well.
The big deal here is conservation.
People expect more from a zoo. They don't expect that 1955 version of a zoo now. So I can say that we invest in animal care, and you can come and see the hospital and you can see the new exhibits, African Elephant Crossing, Roseboro Tiger Passage. But people don't always see the conservation piece and all the work that goes in behind the scenes. But we have conservation programs all over the world. Here in Northeast Ohio, we work with people, we work with all the cool animals that you would expect us to work with. What we try to do is make sure that everyone can come in here and leave with an action, a positive action. We don't want conservation to feel sad. We don't want you to come to the zoo and go, oh my gosh, these terrible things are happening to animals. We want you to leave and feel like, if I do these things, I can make a difference.
The giraffes too, there is a lot more interaction with visitors and the giraffes exhibit.
Right, we opened Ben Gogolek Giraffe Encounter last summer. So it's an opportunity to get up close and feed giraffe, but we've got conservation programs in the field. We work with Giraffe Conservation Foundation and are leading the way with giraffe conservation. And we didn't know that giraffe even needed help until about 5-10 years ago. So
really?
You know, we're doing a lot of work with animals, and you don't necessarily see that in your day-to-day life. But we want to make sure that you can make that connection here.
And the tiger exhibit, I know that's another big one that people, first the kids just go crazy over.
Yeah.
Adults too, I would say.
Yeah, we got to check that out because that's a great interactive experience. Not only does it message conservation, but it provides multiple habitats so the cats can move around and climb and explore, and you want to feel inspired by the animal. So when you get to see a cat walk over your head, that's pretty cool. And now you're paying attention. And I think it's a learning experience that gets kids excited as opposed to a lecture format. It's something they can come and have fun and say, wow, that's really cool, and I want to learn more. And that's invaluable. And if zoos aren't doing it, who is? So that's why we're really proud to be moving in that direction.
Well, and you've included that even in the facility that we're in, where kids can come in and they might even be able to see something going on here at the animal hospital when they come in to look.
Yeah, science education in the U.S. has been struggling for the past couple decades, and what we're trying to do is engage kids, and that's what zoos and science centers and museums have that opportunity to make science come alive and get kids really excited about it and keep them in science as opposed to drifting away from it where they've traditionally done.
What way to celebrate the Metroparks in their 100 years than to come here and hang out at the Cleveland Metropark Zoo?
Absolutely.
It's a great addition, that's for sure. All right, David's celebrating a little bit more. Check it out.
Usually when you think of the Metroparks, you think about hiking down trails or through the woods, walking through the forest. Well, now you can think about going to the beach.
In 2013, Cleveland Metroparks took over management of 6 lakefront parks: Edgewater, East 55th Street Marina, Gordon Park, Euclid Beach, Wildwood, and Villa Angela. And shortly after, in 2014, also Whiskey Island. And since then, they've experienced over 9.5 million recreational visits. There's truly something there for everybody, whether you like to swim, fish, stand-up paddleboard, kayak. The opportunities are endless. Cleveland Metroparks has done a great job making sure the environment is safe and clean. And one of the first things they did was ask the community, how would you like to engage with the lakefront? And what they learned was people wanted special events. So in the 4th season now, you have Edgewater live on the west side and Euclid Beach live on the east side. Each of them featured 10 consecutive weeks of live music, food trucks, recreational things to do from yoga, stand-up paddleboarding, beach volleyball. So every Thursday, come down to Edgewater Live, and every Friday, Euclid Beach Live. So the Edgewater Beach House is slated to open this June. It's a 2-story year-round facility featuring concessions and restrooms on the 1st floor. And then the 2nd floor will have an open fireplace and amazing views to catch a sunset over the city skyline. Another feature will be a pedestrian bridge connecting right into the Gordon Square Arts District neighborhood. So you can rock right over the bridge right onto the 2nd floor. Some of the things that we've done, first and foremost, is clean the beach on a daily basis and also manage the wildlife in the area. We try to pride ourselves in making sure that the swim areas are clean and safe and offer that from Memorial Day until late August. So lifeguards are there on a daily basis. Last year, in 2016, we also created a sustainable swim area in Euclid Beach. So you've got Edgewater Beach, Euclid Beach, and we've always had Huntington, as well as Wallace Lake and ledge pools. Where we are here as we speak, we're at Merwin's Wharf. So this is in the heart of Rivergate Park, right along the Cuyahoga River. We also have Edgewater Beach House opening up this June. So again, fresh, made-to-order food, right on the beach, right along the water. We have the Wallace Lake Cafe, and we also have the Emerald Necklace Marina in Rocky River. Now in its 2nd season, you'll see the LC2 water taxi connecting the east to the west bank of the flats, which has been an important connection point for us. Again, trailways and connections. You can literally ride your bike on the west bank of the flats, load it up onto the water taxi, and pick it up on the east bank where you left off on a continuous trail. You'll see over the next few years, because of the generous Tiger Grant, the largest federal grant ever received by Cleveland Metroparks, more and more connections coming through 2020 that truly connect the inner city ring and suburbs to the lakefront and to our waterways. As we are closing on our first 100 years of the Cleveland Metroparks, it's truly been amazing to watch the lakefront take over in management and see Edgewater Live become a regional destination, and really leads to an exciting future for the next 100 years.
After the break, looking ahead to the future of the Cleveland Metroparks. Well, Brian, I guess the best thing about a bicentennial celebration is planning the next 100 years. I mean, you got a big job now.
Well, I think it's really building upon the foundation that was created well over 100 years ago with Bill STINCHCOMB. I really think towards the opportunity to connect more communities with this modern day park system. When I think of the approximately dozen or so communities that we're not in, that second century of stewardship will really look at how do we connect those communities, how do we make place-making experiences with our park in their communities.
And how about developing trails, more trails, new trails?
Well, certainly more trails and new trails. We were just most recently awarded this Tiger Grant, which is Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery, which really pulls together, it's like tying a shoe, putting a lot of projects together. It includes the Red Line Greenway, it includes the Whiskey Island Connector, it includes parts and pivoting off of the Canal Basin Park, the part where the original towpath where its terminus is.
It's fantastic. We're standing out here now in this kind of weather. Like, every day is a different kind of day. It's a different kind of celebration, or what you enjoy in the park here. And I think it's great now that you've expanded yourself to the lakefront, which is totally different.
Well, it is. It's interesting, though. It's almost like a coming home, because we realized that our founder actually built and designed one of the beach houses on the property, as well as one of the structures that's currently there. We found the stamp drawing from Bill STINCHCOMB, so we were actually set to remodel, renovate, and do. Now we've preserved it for the long-term future. But not only the lakefront, we've really looked at between Broadview, Brecksville, North Royalton, connecting those through our all-purpose trail system. We've also worked in Cuyahoga Heights and Garfield Heights off the towpath. This wonderful 110 miles of connection between the Cuyahoga Valley National Park and all of the surrounding counties.
I know when I walked in, I learned his name, William A. STINCHCOMB, but I heard you call him Bill. So you become closer and closer with him as you envelop yourself in a project he started over 100 years ago.
Well, I think it's hard not to really appreciate the man that created this modern day park system. I'm in certain awe of what he accomplished and what the leadership has accomplished, and I'm really looking forward to setting the table for the next century of stewardship.
Cleveland Metroparks has always been one of those places that if you go to a place for the first time, or your first visit, or what sort of town, wherever, it's like your own private discovery in a way.
Well, it really is. I mean, it's every day you find something new in the park system. And we were talking about the very first public golf. We were talking about, it was actually called Golf Course Number 1, believe it or not, which is now modern day Little Met Golf Course. And we talk about the world-class amenities that the park system provides. And we are truly blessed with wonderful support from this community. I can't thank them enough, and they've really helped us form what we believe the next century will look like. It is owned by all, and when you go someplace else, you appreciate what the Metroparks really has to offer, and really people create memories, and that's what this next century will look like, creating memories in your parks.
Well, thank you very much, and I think it's time for us to give a shot at the, you want to climb the Fort Hill steps?
I'm ready to go, let's do it.
Let's go.
Well, that's going to do it for us today. We've only scratched the surface as to what the Metroparks can offer, so get out and explore. It really has been fun celebrating 100 years, and after all you've seen, it's clear that there is a lot more headed our way in the future, so here's to another 100 years. I'm Natalie Herbick, and on behalf of David Moss as well, we will see you on the next New Day Cleveland.